Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Awaken Inner Wisdom. I'm so excited to have you here. If you're here with me live, please don't hesitate to ask those questions in the comments section. If you're listening on replay, you can still ask questions in the comments, but you can also go over to bethbell.me/question and submit your question there. And it's a little bit more private. So if you've got something a little personal and you don't want to put it in the comments, that's a great place to go. bethbell.me/question. Now, today, there's a lineup of questions, and I'm excited to cover them. I thought I would make a couple of quick announcements. I've got a little bit of a head cold, so if I start sputtering or whatever, please forgive me in advance. I've had an amazing week. I had some really special opportunities. Does anyone here listening live or on replay know who Amma, the hugging saint, is? If you do, please put a little, let's do an orange heart in the comments. She's an amazing soul. She's all the way from India. She was here in Orange County, California, and we had just an incredible time meeting her. She hugs you in the most incredible, conscious, Christ-like way. And so I had lots of things that were happening, about lots of old friends, new friends, and unique situations that happen. But that's for a whole nother show. So we're here to answer questions live, anything having to do with relationships, to love and life. And the other thing, real quick before we get started, is there's a special promotion on the Awaken Inner Wisdom membership. So if you didn't tune in last week to find out, I will tell you a little bit more at the end, but there's a special price, and it's only going to be between now and the end of August, and it will be valid for an entire year. So it's a monthly membership that you will not want to miss. Okay, and the Awaken Inner Wisdom membership, we go deeper. That's basically it. We go deeper into a lesson, and we have some discussion, not chit chat. And it's much deeper than the questions that we talk about here. And it's all about self-realization and awakening that inner wisdom so that you too can channel source from your higher self. All right, let's jump in to question number 1. I know some women have said they've given up on looking for love. I don't want to be one of those women that says it doesn't really matter. If it happens, it happens. How do you do that dance? I think this is a pretty common question, especially in the conscious community, because there's, the basics of like manifesting someone into our life, right? And also letting it go. And it is a dance and it is a sweet spot, but I think it's very, very fun when we let go of the when, the time, right? Because I always want things to happen quickly, right? I'm a master manifestor, like, yeah, I'm putting it out there, like, let's have it happen right away. And then when it doesn't happen, I get disappointed. And when that disappointment energy comes in, that's where we start to drag on the manifestation and the universe bringing these beautiful things to us that we put out there with intention. So stick with doing your manifestations, right? Where you're actually putting together some things that you really want, the characteristics that you see in that person, but also ask yourself, am I this? So if you're asking someone to be healthy, are you eating healthy? Are you doing the things that you want your partner to do? Because that's also an important part of the vibration, is that you want to also be in your highest potential place to meet your highest potential partner so that you can actually have a divine complement, not someone that's here to just get you back into, the patterns of the wounds, right? So we've done the work. We want to attract someone who is really our divine complement, that's going to help us catapult, that's going to help us be exactly where we want to be going, not drag us back to any old patterns. So be really, really clear with yourself when you're putting those lists together, what it is that's still opportunity for you, and then let it go. If you have an altar, put something that symbolizes this relationship on your altar, because that keeps it in mind every day. It keeps it in your heart every day. It keeps the intention clear, and then let it go, like really let it go. But also, some really basic things, keep your eyes wide open. We have to be making eye contact with, and since this was a question from a female, I would say that, one of the best and easiest ways to connect with people is to make eye contact. And men especially want and need this. They love when a woman makes eye contact because it's the yes. It's the okay, it's okay for me to approach you. And so if you're just kind of glancing around, that's not putting out the energy that, hey, I'm here, I'm available, and I'd like to connect with you. And that we can do with friends as well. It doesn't have to be just for romantic interest. And the best part is that we're just interested in meeting other high vibe people. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I have to find the one or the man or the woman. Of course not. It's really tuning in to your own vibration and your own self-love and emanating that out into the world. And then we know what happens, magnets. And that person can easily find us when we're out there doing that. So that is the dance. And I know that I have a feeling that the person asking this question does do that, but there's a nuance in it that still needs to be tweaked, that it's a deeper self-love, that we really watch the narrative of what's coming through our mind when we see someone who's attractive, like, oh, they might not like me, or, whatever those things are, like really kind of tune into that. Don't give it too much energy, but tune into like, what is the narrative? If you look down and you're not making eye contact, or you're not confident to just walk up to someone that you think looks interesting, to just say, hey, I love your sweater, or wow, your eyes are so blue or green or brown. Wow, I really love how you've expressed yourself with your hair, or whatever. That's probably not the right phrase, but you know what I mean. Come up with something that opens the door for conversation, for fun. And then you'll find out if the energy's there. You can tell by the vibration of their voice. You can tell by the aura that they emit, and they're going to be doing the same thing with you. And it just is a matter of our level of consciousness as to how much we're able to tune into this. So I think the person asking this question has a high level of awareness on this. And so have fun doing that dance. Hopefully that's helpful. If not, give me some more comments in the comment section, and I'm happy to elaborate on it. And of course, anyone else listening, if it wasn't your question, you're more than welcome to chime in here. Okay, let's go on to the next question. My son is turning 15 next month. I am struggling with freedom of movement, as in nighttime activities outside of the home that are ambiguous. He is a great kid, but I know stuff happens. How do I release my anxiety about all the possibilities that can take place regarding physical safety? Okay, I get it. I don't have my own children, but I do get it. I did have an opportunity to spend some time with my nephews, but so I have that same feeling of like, you want to know where they are, what they're doing. But if we're going to take this into, a higher consciousness and answer the question for real intuitive insights, number one, the Hawkins scale, he'll tell you that worry is about the same vibration as hate. So worrying is definitely something you want to eliminate. Now, I know you spoke about anxiety, but anxiety comes from worrying. You're worrying about the possibilities that could happen that aren't even happening, right? They could happen, but the more you bring those possibilities into your consciousness and into your awareness, the more likely they are that your son is going to encounter them, or that you're just going to torture yourself with the idea that there's a possibility that he could. So I think you have to really go into another level of trust that you, as the mother of this child, spent the first 15 years doing everything you could, because I can tell you're very compassionate, you're very caring, and this is all coming from a good place. You don't want to be controlling, but isn't it always about letting go? That you have to find that within yourself to say, I've done the best possible work I can to instill good decision-making, morals, ethics, values, right? And he's got to make those decisions. And the most important thing that comes to mind that's really coming in here is that he has to feel safe to call you if he does make a mistake. And I don't even like the word mistakes. I don't think we make mistakes. We make another decision. But when we're talking about a child, sometimes there's a decision that they make, maybe that doesn't have the best discernment behind it because they're still learning about life. So he needs to know that if he makes a decision that maybe is less than optimal, that he can still call you. And the only way he's going to feel that is if you back off a little bit and you trust him and you let him know, I trust you. And hey, if it happens that you get yourself in an uncomfortable situation, please know that by calling me, that's not going to get you in trouble. It's actually going to get you out of trouble, because then I can step in and I can help. But if you lie to me or you don't tell me the truth, then it's going to make it really difficult for us to help you navigate through this. So really make it clear and safe that no matter what happens, he can call you. But you have to let go of this idea that you can control any aspect of the decisions that he's going to make out there. Because you calling, you hyper texting, following him. Yes, okay, follow your child on whatever app you have just to tune in, just to know where they're at. But don't start making up the mind stories, because we know how quickly we can make things up that are just not even what's close to what's happening. So back off, let go, and trust. It's all you can do in this situation, and let him make his own little blunders. Let him make his own situations that feel uncomfortable. Look, you know that you came in with a soul plan. He came in with a soul plan. And that soul plan was for you two to be together. And if his soul plan is to have something absolutely terrible happen to him at 15, that's part of his plan. So just find a way to breathe deeply into this and let it go. And don't get so I have to know everything that's happening before he leaves, before he comes back, but just enough that he knows that you know where he is and that you care deeply for him and that you're there for him no matter what happens, and he can call you at any point in time, no matter how crazy the situation, because you trust him. And I think stating that up front, you said he's a good kid, he is a good kid, and you trust him. So yeah, you might feel like, oh, I don't know about his age and that, but he's got to make those decisions. He's got to make the blunders. And so the more you can just relax, the more he's going to feel like he can call you, because he doesn't want to freak you out. So, all right. Hopefully that's helpful. If not, again, in the comments, I'd love to hear from you. Let's move on to the next question. Last week, you talked about finding that place inside of me, that quiet center. Sometimes I am there unexpectedly, but most of the time not. Can you recommend a short affirmation that works for you on the spot and gets you there? Perhaps including the breath and sound or mantra. I feel a need for calm structure. Thank you. Yeah, this is a good one too, because I think everybody right now is really needing that quick go-to, how do I calm myself? How do I get into that sacred space? How do I just really tune into myself and not let the external world spin me? The mantra that comes to mind is very simple and very powerful. It is, I am pure love. Saying that to yourself, even if you feel like, oh, I don't really know if I mean it. I have to say that when I was making the mini mantra word bar necklaces, when I was first making them in Bali, and I had the shop on Monkey Forest Road in Ubud, one of the mini mantras was, I am pure love, bliss. And bliss stands for beautiful, long-lasting, irreplaceable, spiritual, and still. And I thought, this is going to be the best seller, because who doesn't want to be pure love? Who doesn't know that they're pure love? And I was really, really shocked when I found that a lot of people actually were like, no, I'm not that. No. And I was like, oh my goodness, of course you are. Of course you're pure love. We're just unraveling the mind and all of the stories and all of the situations that we've gotten ourselves into that tells us that we are anything other than that immanent being of light shining brightly out there for the whole world to see. And that has everything to do with our heart center, right? Are we in our heart or are we in our mind? Because if we're in our mind, we're listening to all those stories that we've been telling ourselves, or maybe we've been programmed with, the experiences that we've had. Maybe it's your ancestral lineage, right? The things that are way back there in the subconscious mind. So saying to yourself, I am pure love. And surrendering into that phrase in a way that even if you're not believing it in the moment, that you just ask for your heart to be opened so that you can experience the feeling of pure love. Now, another way that I like to talk about pure love that is really easy to get into that feeling, if you have a fur baby, a dog, a cat, who knows, a hamster, a chipmunk, a horse, they help us to really get into our heart center. They help us really feel into that wonderful soft place within us. If you have a small child or a grandchild or a baby, oh, the babies, they often just give us that, that real deep innocence that oftentimes we don't connect to because we're in the stories. So that can also help us symbolically bring us back into alignment, but also just being out in Mother Nature. Go and sniff a flower. Be a flower sniffer for a day or for an hour or for 10 minutes or for 5 minutes. Just go and observe and remind yourself that for that flower to blossom was effortless. We make it difficult. As humans, we're making this process difficult because of the mind. But if we connect into source and we know that we're pure love and we feel that within us and we emanate that, and if we're not able to, I get it. Sometimes that mind is so strong and it just takes over. Just keep coming back to I am pure love. Now you ask for a sound, and I find that interesting. And I think it's whatever sound comes to you, but you may want to say, I am pure love. And if that resonates for you, to actually speak it out, and maybe you're on a walk, maybe you're sitting at home in a meditation, maybe it's a different octave, I am pure, I am love, I am pure love, and feel the vibration. When I say it, I can feel the vibration in my body. And what that does is it distracts you from the mind and brings you right here. So if you can start to feel that feeling of the vibration within you, then you're getting more in your body and less, out there. So hopefully that's helpful. Now, I think, hello, George, welcome. I think that you also asked me something else. Yeah, breath. So breathing, you can breathe in like, I am pure love. So breathe in for 8 counts and then breathe out and hold the notes, whatever note resonates for you. And if this all sounds wacky, then it's not the right thing for you, but I think it might be. And just having that resonance with your own voice will help you open your 5th chakra as well, your throat chakra. It'll help you tune in to the vibration of your heart. And you'll start to feel like, maybe I'm not as open as I thought I was. Another thing you might want to do if you haven't done it already is take the state of the heart assessment. If you go to bethbell.me, it's free. It's just you fill out a questionnaire. The results are very specific to you, and you will get where you're at, which state of the heart, which state you're in. There's 4 different states, and it gives you a little insight into where you're at, and certainly some tips, tools, and techniques to help open that heart. Oftentimes, we don't realize how closed our heart is. And so if we really tune into that resonance of our heart center, it's going to get us out of the mind, and it's going to get us out of all of these other thoughts of anxiety and stress and strain and chaos and fear and anxiety. So these are the kinds of things that we're going to go more deeply into in the Awaken Inner Wisdom membership. So it's 1 hour with me, and there's a lesson, and then there's a discussion. It's not a chit chat. It's a deep discussion. And we go deeper into awakening concepts, self-realization concepts, and ways to really anchor in to who we really are so that we can shine our light brightly out there. So if you're interested at all in that, please go to bethbell.me. You will find on bethbell.me/community, you'll easily see the link to apply. And if you just go to the homepage, you'll see the link to apply. And there's a special promotion happening right now. I'll talk about the price at the end, but it's a really special price, and it's only till the end of July. So if you're watching this on replay and it's after July, you'll have to wait until there's more promotions, or dive right in with us at the normal price, because I think it's only going to be during this initial launch phase. So All right, let's jump into the next question. All right. How do I tap into my creative center of self expression? I want a hobby that lights me up and have no idea how to find it. Yeah, for some of us, creativity is super easy. We just like jump into, I mean, for me, it's writing and I just like whew, get right in there. For other people, journaling and that kind of thing doesn't really do the trick. Now, if I'm guessing you've done quite a few things to actually try to figure out like what is my creative center. I would look on some community boards. If you have a spiritual store that might have, like those poster boards, or even maybe it's a Starbucks, but if you've got like a crystal shop or something that has a little bit more higher vibrational things, you might find some things that you go, ooh, maybe you end up buying a Tibetan sound healing bowl, maybe a crystal bowl, and you just play around with it. And that becomes your creativity because you're creating sound, you're creating music. Maybe that's something, right? Maybe you go in and you go, oh gosh, I want to create a mala bead necklace, a crystal, ball necklace. Like maybe or bracelet. Like maybe there's something that starts to come to you that you go, yeah, I could do this. And it's just for fun. You don't have to be making money at it. You don't have to give it, but you can. You don't have to hang it on your wall if you don't want to, if it's a painting or whatever it is, but just kind of start dabbling into like, with childlike curiosity. I wonder what it is that could really get my heart to glow. And don't force it. Like if you start to do something and you're like, yeah, it's not really grabbing me, then just move on to the next thing. It's totally okay. And who knows, maybe just by virtue of that, you'll come up with a lot of fun things that you can end up doing here and there. It might not be your like main creative center, but it will get you out and it will get you meeting new people. And maybe you go to that pottery class because you're supposed to meet someone else that does something else that inspires you. But I do think, feeling deeper into this person's question, that it is something deeply within you, not necessarily something that you have to go out to do, that you have to pay to do, that you have to sign up to do. In the end, I feel like it is something that you just do. And, I'm a flower whisperer, so I'm always going to bring up the flowers. Maybe it's that you go and you pick flowers and you create your own little bouquet. It can be tiny. It can be just like a tiny little, thing. It doesn't have to be some big bouquet. And maybe that's your time in nature and it gives you, the curiosity of, I wonder what flowers I'm going to find on the hike today. And it also brings your awareness to nature as well. Because oftentimes, we're walking. Well, I'll speak for myself. I could be walking and I can be thinking a lot about like a lot of things. And yet if we just stop and smell the roses, even if there's not roses, but we're looking at the colors and we're looking. One of the things that I love to do is I love to look at the snails early morning. Whenever there's a lot of moisture, there's a ton of snails on my little trail out here. Lily and I are walking along and I just feel like I'm on like the Save the Snails campaign. People probably wonder like, what is this woman doing? But if they're right in the middle, I just move them over to the side because I don't want them to get crushed by all the runners and the walkers. And a lot of people aren't looking at the snails. And so I just love to just kind of move them aside. And that's my connection to nature. And it's my connection to that little snail. And I just feel like, oh, I saved a snail today. Usually there's a lot of snails that get saved. So it can be something like that. Like sometimes we overcomplicate these creative tasks to try to make them be something big and, like, oh, look what I did. It's like, no, you don't have to do that. And maybe you start to be a snail photographer. I don't know. But whatever's calling your attention, just find that because that will really start to find you inside. Right. And yeah, if anyone else here listening has any good ideas for the person asking the question, I'm all ears for you to type it in the comments. Okay. We've got another live question. What you're describing sounds more like a lifestyle related issue than spirituality. I love that you say that because I don't see lifestyle and spirituality as different. We are spirits in a body. We're human beings. and we are experiencing life, and everything in life is actually spiritual. Everything in life puts us on a spiritual journey because it's our spirit having an experience. So thank you, George, for bringing that up. On the show, we have questions that have anything to do with relationships, to love, and to life. So whether it's a romantic relationship, something happening with a family member, maybe something happening with a colleague, something happening within yourself, and you just want some guidance. So ask a question, and I provide intuitive insights. So it's all around lots of different topics that come up here on the show, and it does all have to do with spirituality and how we incorporate our own spirits into our own lifestyle. So thanks for bringing that forward. Okay, let's go on to the next question. I recently discovered the gene keys. According to mine, my gift is delight and my shadow is seriousness. I'm not sure how to interpret this information. Have you ever used the gene keys, and how is it a tool for personal growth? Yes, I am familiar with the gene keys. I am not an expert on the gene keys. I feel that what the gene keys does is provides some really great insights. Mine was incredibly accurate. I have several friends that have done them. It's been incredibly accurate. And what I would do is take the shadow side and look further into the gene keys. And you can actually type it into Google and find out specifically some information on there about each one of the shadows. And there'll be a lot of information that comes up. However, with that said, look for opportunities. I'll give a very personal example of how I've used the gene keys. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, I recently went to Amma, the hugging saint, and I met up with a dear friend that I met many, many years ago in my shop in Bali. And unexpectedly, she was also in California visiting from Europe. And so it came up for me to get my book blessed, Angels, Herpes, and Psychedelics. And so I was like, oh my goodness, what a great idea. And so my friend helped me go do that. She said, and ask Amma for your personal mantra. And I was like, okay, great. This is wonderful. So when I got the pre-instructions for the mantra, like what we needed to do, the gentleman said, you either pick a deity or you pick a word. And so the deity could be Buddha, Krishna, Allah, Amma, God, whatever you feel is in your heart, someone that you resonate with, Jesus, or you can pick a word. So he's like, you could pick peace, love, bliss, gratitude, faith, patience, right? So he went off onto a bunch of different words. And as soon as he said the word patience, I was like, oh, that's my word. It's not the word I wanted, but I knew it was my word. And I knew it was my word because it's what came up in Gene Keys for me. So if you keep your radar open for these opportunities of, okay, I see in my external world how this has come forward for me, then I was able to bring forward that word patience. Now, as I sat waiting for my mantra, because it was actually quite a long time, I questioned myself and I said, oh no, maybe I should have asked for unconditional love. Maybe I should have asked for faith. Maybe I should have asked for blah, 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 gratitude. I went down this whole list, and then it was like, boom, it just came back and said, you have all of those things. Those are not your areas of opportunity. Your area of opportunity is patience. So to answer your question, I would use anything that comes from the Gene Keys as, just a really strong note to self that when you see things in your external environment, oh, thank you. I see how that's bringing my seriousness forward. Gene Keys reminded me that is, I'm saying this for you, that is, okay, I see where I'm being serious right now. Let's switch it to delight. And so I think having that awareness is where the Gene Keys can come in really, really wonderfully. And as I said, you can also go deeper into all of the lessons online and dig a little bit deeper there. But use your own self-awareness and your own interaction with your external environment to get the deeper lessons about what your shadow is. Our strengths are our strengths. And so focus on your strengths. Don't overly focus on the shadow, but just use the shadow as a way to, yeah, feel into like, ooh, yeah, there it is again. Didn't realize it. Oops. Okay. I'm there. Let's clear it. All right. If you have any other questions on that, I'm happy to elaborate. So put them in the comments. If not, we're going to move on to the next question. And if anyone live has any questions, don't hesitate to put them in the comments. I'm happy to answer them. And I don't have to say your name either. I'll keep you as confidential as I can. Okay. I have a number of friends who are completely changing their lives, selling homes, traveling the world, living big, adventurous lives. This is how I have lived my life in the past. But I know I am being called for the first time to stay and to really work on creating the life I want in one place. But the stillness and quiet is bringing up a lot of emotions and things I used to distract myself from. How do I sit with these deep emotions and still move forward with my life? We all go through these periods where things feel like they're on fast forward. And then when they're just like slow as molasses. And chances are you need to be in that really slow space. I mean, I know you know that, right? That's the obvious point of this. And so I would say really be aware of why are you comparing yourself to someone else? If you've done all of this, right? It's not like from what you asked, it's not like you're someone who hasn't been anywhere and there's like this jealousy. No, it's not at all about that, right? It's just about like, why am I comparing myself to what someone else is doing? This is the phase of their life where they're taking off and everything's happening and feels in flow. And now it's sort of like that winter season of just really caring for the body, releasing aspects of the mind, right? Because if we just went on that trajectory all the time, just travel, 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 everything was in flow. Yeah, I guess it could be fun, but we'd be exhausted in another way, which is why you're exhausted now. Because you've been doing that for so long in different ways, whether it was travel or it was, travel with work and all of that craziness that happens on an energetic level. Because I think, as we're ascending, let's tune into this. As we're ascending, we become more and more sensitive to everything in our environment. And our home becomes a cave. And I don't mean a cave like that it's dark. I mean a cave that it's safe and that we can go quietly within and that we can get into our own darkness so that we can have the balance of the light and the dark, right? Because that's the point. It's yin and yang. It's the light and the dark. It's understanding the duality of things. And so there's times when we need to just dig a little bit deeper into that quiet place within. Because if we can't be in that quiet place within, then we're not really within. Then we're just constantly out there reacting, having a reaction to our external environment, having our external environment entertain us. And so it feels like now it's not about entertainment. It's about really anchoring in on the ascension journey, some really deep, deep lessons and knowingness. So there's some lessons that are you're being asked to anchor in on a whole nother level. And you couldn't do that if you were out traveling and you were busy booking a hotel room and figuring out where you're going next. And yeah, looking at, which countries sound nice, right? Like that's very stimulating and doesn't allow for this. So just don't be comparing yourself to what other people are doing because it has zero relevance to where you are and what you're doing, because you're doing what you need to do for you. And your body's telling you what you need to do for you. But it's just your mind. And you know that. It's just your mind trying to tell you that there's something else, whatever, the FOMO, fear of missing out. But you're not missing out. You're going in. And that's the best place to be. That's the best place to be because that's the anchor. That's the solar plexus, our third chakra that we need to feel really at home with, because what's coming, what's been here, what's coming in all of humanity is some pretty tough stuff. And we need people like you who have done the work who have the external environment, and know how things work out there, but we got to know how things work in here and be anchored into that, because we're going to be called upon for some really intense light shining. And if we're not shining our own light for ourselves, then we can't shine it for others. And so I would look at it as an assignment right now, as a really beautiful ascension assignment that you're being asked to sit, and I feel like the word punishment comes. And so don't allow your mind to get into, and I'm not sure that you're saying this, but there's just an element of like, I'm feeling punished, like I can't do this, I want to be doing this. And that's just, that's part of your inner child that's just got something to say about it. And just ask her to sit quietly and to sit with you and to just really bond with you about this. I think that's really going to help, is to just sit with that part of you, whether you resonate with the inner child or you resonate with, some other way of describing that part of you. Get to it and just love it. Love it. Love your adventurous soul, but say, but thank you, I don't need to be on an adventure right now. All right. I don't want to overdo that one, but please, if there's more on that one, let me know. And these are also topics that we get into in the Awaken Inner Wisdom membership. All right. We also get another question here live. Okay, so we're getting a question about, you mentioned chakras and breathing techniques. Would you like to name and demonstrate a few techniques to activate so-called chakras? Because the world needs less philosophy and more practicality, in my humble opinion. Well, I love your humble opinion, and I think you're right. So let's do this. Let's do a little meditation together. Just for everyone, not in case someone doesn't know what their chakras are, right? We've got chakras in our body, and it starts with the base. And the base is, think about your bottom, like where you're sitting. And one of the things that I find so helpful is to bring awareness to my sit bones. So as you're sitting, hopefully you can sit with either your feet on the floor, or you can sit somewhere with maybe your legs crossed and you've got a little pillow and you're a little bit elevated. Important to keep your spine really, really straight, because when you keep your spine straight, you allow air to come in and out, right? Because if you're like this, you're not allowing that blissful glow. And so start with thinking about just the physical structure of having your sit bones on a chair, on the floor, on a sofa, wherever it is that you are. Even if you're at your work desk and you do this in the middle of the day, it's a good technique you can use, and you don't have to do it for a long, long time. The longer you do it, the more embodied you are, but doing it is better than not. So sit there on the sit bones, you know what I'm talking about, those bones in there. And then I would recommend that you take the technique we talked about a little bit earlier in the show, which is take a deep breath in through your nose, 8 seconds in, hold it, out through your mouth, make the air movement, make the sound. Why? Because it helps you to put more air out, but it also helps you to connect yourself to the sound. So similar to the exercise, wasn't really an exercise, but the recommendation for your mantra, to just like tune and tone yourself with a vibration that works for you. So again, where you're just breathing in through the nose, envision the air coming in through your nose and coming all the way down your spine, and envisioning it a big circle, so that you're getting deeply into your belly. The air is going deep, 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 deep. Not right here. A lot of people, they breathe here, but you got to breathe into the belly. Stick out your belly in that way, and then release it through the mouth, right? Or like breath of fire. Do this 8 times. 8 seconds in, 8 seconds out. Do it 8 times. It won't take you long. You can do it pretty much anywhere. I mean, you might not be able to make the noise if you're sitting at your office desk. Maybe go outside, sit on a bench, right? Do something where you can feel like you can really just not have everybody watching you, if that creates a sense of discomfort. And tune into yourself. And if you want to make a noise, you can too. Like when you're You can also do an om, right? You can do a breathe in. It brings you right into your body. It helps you. If you want to do each one chakra by chakra, you can go right up, opening all of your chakras, top of your head. So maybe I should do a whole video separate for that and put it out there. All right. Let me know if that was helpful for the person asking the question. And if not, we can do something else. Okay, I think we are down to the wire here. I don't see any other live comments coming in right at this moment. I wanted to also say that the special promotion on the Awaken Inner Wisdom membership is only until the end of July, and it's $33 a month. So it's normally $133 for this limited time only. It's $33 a month. We'll go deeper into practices, deeper into discussions, and help with that awakening of our own inner wisdom so that we are connected. We're always connected to source, but that we have less of our mind and our soul in the driver's seat, right? So we've got a good balance there. Now, if you want more tips, tools, techniques that I talk about in Angels, Herpes, and Psychedelics, Unraveling the Mind to Unveil Illusions. I don't know if I have my book handy here. Oh, actually I do. You know what? I have my book that Amma actually blessed. So I have a special little tie around it. But Angels, Herpes, and Psychedelics, Unraveling the Mind to Unveil Illusions. I talk about transformational storytelling. And then from there, I have the Awakening Awakening and Healing Handbook that you can get additional information on all the tips, tools, techniques that I talk about in the book. So it goes a lot deeper, dives into these. There's also the Psychedelics resource guide. There's the Herpes handbook online. And if you haven't already filled out the State of the Heart assessment, please do. It's at bethbell.me. It's free. It's going to give you where you're at, whether you are a blocked, broken, healed, or whole heart, and some tips, tools, and techniques to get you through that. It's a really fun survey. It won't take you long. So I am so grateful for all of your questions. Thank you for joining. Thanks for joining in live. I always appreciate that. And I look forward to seeing you next week, every Sunday, 11:11 a.m. Pacific time. I'm live here, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Namaste.